pé sọ́wọ́ lè mò ń fẹ́ ni kí n sọ yìí tí mo fẹ́ mo ní ìsọ̀rọ̀ owó àní ọ̀rọ̀ ìran mi ni mò ń sọ kí n wọ gbowó kí n gbéra kí n pé mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ ọba àgbowó mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ oníbodè òfin gbowó kí n kójó wọlé kọ́kàn mi balẹ̀ kí n dá wa mọ́tò kí n mọ́ rìn bọ̀ kí Fúlàní mọ́ dá mi dúró títì kí n délé kí bàbá sọ pé kí n gbé tírélà sùn kí n mọ́ gbé lọ àwọn bàbá wo lè lóko mọ́ wọn ò lè lódò ẹ jẹ́ ká fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ ká ti àwọn bàbá wa lẹ́yìn ká dá security ti wa lẹ̀ ká sọ fún wọn kí wọ́n bá wa fọwọ́ tì í ká lé wọn kó nu oko wa ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́ Jésù Olúwa wa.
I think we lost the YouTube. So I've just restarted again. So I just wait for people to settle back in because we lost the broadcast earlier. Because I had a glitch with the internet. So just have to wait a little bit. It updates itself. I think that was why. Because it gets itself updated. So I'm sure people will join us as we continue the program. Mo kí gbogbo ọlẹ́ǹkan sí. Mo kí gbogbo ìyá mi tí ẹ wà lórí ètò pẹ̀lú wa lálẹ́. Mo kí gbogbo grandma pátápátá. (16:01) as we continue the campaign on the right to self-determination. Self-determination is not a crime, so please do not allow anybody. YouTube and the break láàrin méjì, but the Facebook was holding and the other platforms were holding as well, apart from the YouTube. But we are back. Muki Oluwole sí pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Muki Silver Badmus, welcome back. I'm sure the others will join us. So let's crack on. Abawale. So bí brother mi ṣe sọ níbẹ̀ yẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kan ọ̀pọ̀ yẹn ló ní ṣé torí àwọn British mẹ́ta tó pè ní wọ́n ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀. Well, I mean, you're right. Though many protests still on the UK for the last 4 or 6 weeks now, if not more than that. Every weekend, your man jáde fún protest against, the current situation in Gaza. So as we can see, then the next person is Chapman. John Chapman. Chapman who live in Poole in Dorset, Dorset, very beautiful place. Worked in the charity security team and was killed alongside fellow British veteran James Kiba, a 47-year-old former army sniper, then James Adenson, a 33-year-old Royal Marine. Now, Chapman sọ pé àwọn eléyìí mọ̀ pé iṣẹ́ tó ń ṣe ó wà risky. Kò sí nǹkan tó ní risk láyé. They knew, but they were also going there because they wanted to make a change. They wanted to bring a change. They wanted to transform things. But unfortunately, these 3 gentlemen lost their lives. They could have sit back in the UK with their families, but they did what they love to do. But these are the 3 British to kú láàrin wọn to kọbẹlẹ dùmarè kó foríjì wọn. So let's come back now to NATO and let's close all these. So I've taken us through the first part 1. So this is now part 2. So we focus back on NATO. So since then, as we said earlier, NATO was created by 12 countries from Europe, North America on the 4th of April 1949. Since then, 20 more countries have joined NATO through 10 rounds of enlargement in 1952, 1955, 1982, 1999, 2004, 2009, 2017, 2020, 2023, and 2024. Article 10 of the North Atlantic Treaty set out how countries can join the alliance. It stated that membership is open to any European state in a position to further the principles of this treaty and to contribute to the security of the North Atlantic area. Any decision to invite a country to join the alliance is taken by the North Atlantic Council, NATO principal political decision-making body on the basis of consensus among all allies. Now, these are all the countries who are included in NATO: Albania, Belgium, Bulgaria, Canada, Croatia, Czech, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Iceland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania. Ironically, Lithuania, anytime about Lithuania, that's a country that is less than 3 million, 2.8 million. Luxembourg, Montenegro, Netherlands, North Macedonia, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Turkey, United Kingdom, and United States. Àwọn tó dálẹ̀ nìyẹn ní 1949. Pẹ̀lú Iceland àti Italy àti Portugal àti Luxembourg àti Netherlands. Those are the àti Canada, France. So those are the countries that started NATO. Somebody starts something and the rest join. So gbogbo àwọn tó ní àfẹ́ Yorùbá nation, that's fine. Nobody force you into Yoruba nation, but at some point you will have no other choice than to stop being stupid. So let's now listen to our sister broadcast Vantage, Palikishama, and let's hear how she narrated NATO in her presentation.
Rest are in Europe. Today, NATO celebrated its 75th anniversary. There was a big party at the headquarters in Brussels. You had music, toasts, and a cake.
Today we celebrate the 75th anniversary of the strongest, most enduring, and most successful alliance in history.
"75 years is a long time. A lot of things have changed in this.
If you are currently employed by Tesco or have been within the last
Started off with just 12 members, but today it has 32. So NATO has expanded relentlessly. Eventually, it reached the doorsteps of Russia, and that's when Moscow pushed back. We've seen dozens of NATO operations in the last few decades, some full-scale invasions, some air campaigns, some support missions, some anti-piracy campaigns. No one can question its military strength. NATO has almost 3.5 million soldiers, also more than 5,000 nuclear warheads. The question is, what have they done with all this power? Has NATO created a better world? Let's look at some of their missions.
And this is where I want us to listen. Has NATO created a better world? Nigeria has never created a better world in 110 years. Yet, many Nigerians are still hoping, thinking that some kind of a drastic change of a leader will bring a transformation that you want. You will be living in denial. It is time that we wake up from our slumber. It is time that we accept It is time that we accept before it is too late. Because if not, we are all going to sink with what is called Nigeria. It might not sink fast, but I think it is already sinking faster than even what so many of us have thought. Let us wake up from our slumber. Let's go back to the video again. A courtesy of Vantage. and this is for educational purpose only.
From 1949 to 1991, NATO did not do much. The Cold War was more of a staring contest than actual fighting. But after that, they did a lot. The first ground operation was in Yugoslavia. It was a multi-ethnic state in Central Europe. You had Serbs, Croats, Slovenes, and Albanians. The Serbs targeted the minority Albanians, so NATO got involved. The United Nations Security Council refused to sanction this operation, but NATO did not care. In 1999, they began bombing the Serbs. 78 days of non-stop bombing. And casualties? More than 2,000 civilians killed. Even radio stations and embassies were targeted. NATO left the region in tatters. Today, Yugoslavia does not exist. It has broken up into different countries, and these countries are among the poorest in Europe. That is the legacy of NATO in this region. Now let's look at another operation. NATO went into Afghanistan in 2001. This was after the Al-Qaeda's attack on 9/11. It's the only time when NATO invoked its collective defense clause, Article 5. One member, the United States, was attacked, so all NATO members joined in. From 2003 to 2014, they led a UN-mandated force. It was called ISAF, International Security Assistance Force. This mission ended in 2014. So the next year, NATO launched another one, RSM, Resolute Support Mission. The plan was to train and prepare the Afghan army, but clearly they failed at it. NATO's 20-year war resulted in more than 47,000 deaths. And we're talking only about civilians, 47,000. Many of them were killed by the NATO alliance. Consider the year 2019 when the UN published civilian deaths for that year. People were shocked, because NATO had killed 717 civilians, and the Taliban had killed 531. Here's another worrying data point. From 2016 to 2020, the US and NATO went on a bombing spree. These airstrikes killed more than 2,000 civilians, out of which 785 were children. Now, don't get us wrong. Going after the Taliban was not a mistake. It was an important strategic and moral goal. But NATO's method was flawed. It punished
If you're
and ordinary Afghans. Also, it's not just the scale of destruction, it's also about the aftermath. Consider the NATO intervention in Libya. In 2011, Libyan dictator Gaddafi was unleashing violence on his people, so NATO decided time to intervene. They dropped more than 9,000 bombs in Libya, and yes, Gaddafi was toppled. But look at the cost. Almost 13 years later, Libya is still at civil war. Almost 40% of the people are living in poverty. Do you see the template here? NATO unilaterally decides which battle to join, bombs the country into oblivion, pats itself on the back, and then leaves. The people in those countries are left to pick up the pieces. It is like a vigilante with a penchant for blood. In fact, you can sum up NATO's methods in one picture. It's a meme on social media nowadays. The caption says, "A city saved by Avengers." But look at what's left of the city, just a smoldering mass. If this is called saving, I think we're better off without the Avengers.
That was an interesting one there. So I just thought, we'll lock that in. Once again, we're still on the talk, on the conversation, self-determination, and the right of the Yoruba people to now think about leaving this contraction called Nigeria. But many Yoruba people still doesn't want to leave the 1914 amalgamation, because as far as they're concerned, that amalgamation is still in the best interest of every single one of us. It might be noted that we had a break in transmission. I think every 1 o'clock or thereabout, I don't know, there's a kind of an update on my router, and that literally shut down, the system, and the YouTube doesn't hold that long. As soon as the internet battery disconnect a little bit, the YouTube drops down. For me, 1 minute, I want to bring my screen back. I got to remove this camera. So we're still on the campaign trail, and we're still, So let's come back. Mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí pé As we say all the time on this platform, Yoruba Nation is the final solution and nothing can change that. Moki Baba Benga, says, let's wake up, Omo Yoruba, if we want Yoruba Nation only. Moki it's just to catch up. There will be much more program tomorrow. I didn't want to stay that long, but it seems that we already had a break in transmission earlier as well. But tomorrow we'll be having some nice program again. But for now, we're going to wind down this program because we already had that break in transmission. And sometimes, it's just for us to just leave it as it is. But Tobadola, we will continue our campaign. Let's take it as a break tonight. My name is Koiki. Remember that we have the right to self-determination, but that right is not just by saying it, it has to be activated. And that is the reason why everybody must support the leaders, Professor Banja Kitoye, that wants the vision that Baba Oluwole did not complete. Baba Oluwole will be happy for the Yoruba people to progress, but right now, Baba Oluwole will be very, very unhappy person, looking back and saying, into a caution to worship. So tomorrow, I don't know what time, but we'll be out again tomorrow, and there'll be more in-depth, analysis as we continue what Baba Kitoye said. Our right to self-determination. Nigeria has now the courage to dissolve. Silent listeners who are at contribute at this is like a short one, it's about 15 minutes, but there was one before this which had a break in transmission earlier. My name is Koiki. Thanks so much, Shiva Badmos. This is my 123 Kunle Bakers. Yami Comfort, Yawa Adi, Yawa Joe, Atentawani, all over the world, Alec Conde, Canada, Malaysia, Australia, wherever you are around the world, and the KOIKIMEDIA team, I say shout out to you. As we leave you tonight, remember that the future belongs to us. Our Lama decide if we want to keep that future now. Nobody can stop it, but we have to be determined, we have to be courageous, we have to be selfless, and we have to be brave, which is the two things that we need to. Tabati were brave. We don't have the weapon that they have, but Tabawa brave enough, we can deal with everything. A very good night. Thank you so much. KOIKIMEDIA bringing the work closer to your doorstep. And really, very long, Thank you so much. Good night.